There we go. We should be live. All right, so I'm going to do some writing today. First things first, though. I got to go grab that link and kind of see like the general outline of what we've got, but we've got a lot of work to do. But we've got like a general premise for the town and what's going on, that sort of thing. Good, okay. That's what I want. Copy. Very good. Do it in the brackets though. For here. There. And there. I realized I got one last place. Here we go. And there we go. All right. Should do the trick. That could go there, and this go here. So hopefully, when my homies join, they won't jump scare me. All right. So last stream we did some we did some looking at the relic system to see what I needed to be able to run in it, and it's pretty dang close. And while we wait, I figured I'd write an adventure because we need to be able to run something in it, right? We can't just run nothing in it. So that's what I started on at the tail end of that stream. What I decided to do, because it's just fun, is to explore some rollable tables. So that's what all these other 5 pages of stuff is for. It's got us a good idea of like what the town is like, and we can change it. We don't have to stick too close to the rollable tables. But what we generally have. Let me switch to a different camera. Actually, and grab this paper. What we generally have. Where is it? There's desk. Okay. Oh, never mind. Aha. Oh boy. Well, we gotta wait for it to focus. Very good. Alright. So, this is not what it's gonna look like, by the way. I'll do a better job. But we've got a big old castle in the center of town, right? Or we don't necessarily need to make it the center of town. We could put it off to the side or something like that, right? But we've got this big old raised platform here. The townsfolk haven't gone to clear out the castle because castle's scary. But they've managed to resettle the ruins of civilization that was here at the base of the castle. Because the walls are still in place and they are heavily defensible, right? They would be at the fringes of civilization, so there's all sorts of wilderness around them, which may have some nice threats we can go and write. But otherwise, they don't just have threats on the outside, but also from the castle itself. There's also some new cults that have been starting, people who have bored witness to some strange creatures in the area, or who have been met with strange dreams, right? So we have some new gods that people are worshiping here, far from, well, whatever pantheon they had in their previous lands. There's been some conversion, so that's something that we can absolutely write. Anyways, hopefully that kind of makes sense. I'm not going to quite go into all the details right now, but what we can do... very good. Let's come back here to our to-do list. So we have our tavern, right? So we need to flesh out the tavern and its inhabitants. All right. Well, it's right. It's not a possessive. It's the wrong kind of it's. All right. Very good. So for example, we do, from the rollable table stuff, we do have some examples of character names and whatnot. So we do need to figure out what the keys go to. Figure out the man's crime. Figure out what the mob out front is preparing for. Very good. What else did we have, actually? I'll scroll back up there. Okay. So we do need to figure out just the general flavor of it. So we have our barkeep. Here's the key guy that I was just talking about. Billy the Mark is what they're calling him for the rollable tables, and we can rename all these people. Oh, someone's missing. We do need to do the rescue mission. Okay. There's a miscreants gathering out front. Yep. Oh, the board games. I don't know if we want to keep this or not. Because that's silly and flavorful, but I'm not sure it quite fits the mood we're going for here. I'll think about it. Well, no, because it's a jolly mood, so it does fit. Yeah. Well, no, because we also need like an air of tension out front. So I don't think there's any board games happening today, right? There's a weekly event though, so we can do that on a different day. But at least on the day where the adventure starts, we don't want there to be a jolly board game night going on. I think we do want an air of tension because we have strange characters selling keys. We have a criminal, or at least someone on a wanted poster, who deserves what's coming to him. We know that there's where is it? Where's the one saying? Here we go. We know that there's someone coming for said criminal. We know there's some tension on the streets out front. So even we can still keep the mood overall celebratory, but we do want there to be some tension here. Then obviously we're gonna have the barkeep, right? So let me go back down here. We've got a good idea of what we're doing. Now figure out the main crew. Right/rename. Well, here we go. Characters. Very good. And then we can also come down here and say, economy of resources. Place some key characters for future quests/events here. Once we know them. Some key characters relevant to, how about that? Relevant to future quests/events here once we know them. Alright, very good. I think... hold on. Figure out the man's crime and who is coming in to hunt him. Very good. Figure out the mob out front's preparing for. Right, so let's rename characters. Very good. Alright, cool. So that's pretty much it for the most part. If we were to accomplish all this, the tavern would be fleshed out enough that we could run it, like our first session there. No problem. Alright, so outside of the tavern, though, the town. Look, there we go. The town. What do we really need of the town? Nothing really yet. Adventuring locations and key NPCs. So how about this? Is there a job board? What's on it? what's the purpose of town hall? Because we did roll up that we have a town hall. What was the purpose of town hall? How are decisions made? Something I have decided is that there is a road being built. That is something very important to these locals here. That will get hopefully more people coming into town to settle it, right? But then beyond just that, that'll also attract merchants, and word of mouth will travel, and so on and so forth. So getting a road out here that's better than just like whatever trail or whatnot they previously been using is very important. And what I think what we can do is one of the first adventures would actually be rescuing some of the workers and transporters who are transporting material down here to work on both the town and the road. That they're a couple days late. Well, maybe not a couple days late, but they would be very late had one of them not broken away from the ambush and ran the rest of the distance to town to get help. So I think that might be one of the events that we can place, not necessarily as the very first adventure. We can go with the person missing instead, but otherwise, like, we could also make this be the first adventure, right? Someone bursts into the tavern saying, "Help, goblins have taken the workers and the supplies," or something like that, right? So that's definitely a direction that we could go. But at the very least, I know that there's a lot of projects being worked on right now, so we can at least put that on our little to-do list. What are the projects and their status? The road, there we go. The road. Rebuilding the walls. Building shrines. Patching up houses, etc. All right. That should give us a decent idea. I should also say who, not necessarily who is in power, who holds power. It's a good question. All right. And this is just what works for me. Usually if I give myself like a to-do list or like ask a bunch of questions, then stuff really starts rolling for me. That just tends to be what works for my writing process, but you could just like start writing willy-nilly without any kind of plans or questions, right? And find stuff. Or you might just start with just like one good key idea, which we don't really have that per se. I mean, through the rollable tables and some of these questions here, like I have a few key ideas for adventures, and we certainly have some strange entities. And some lore we rolled for the old castle, so there's all sorts of fun stuff we can mine there. But otherwise, I think like a little to-do list like this is very helpful. We'll come back to the town. I know there's probably more stuff I need to do there, but the wilderness. Lurking threats. Whoop, okay. What has taken the workers and their, there we go, supplies? Are there any orcs / goblins? I'll say goblinoids / kobolds in the area? Cultists? Yeah, there's nothing saying that just because this is marked as unsettled land, that doesn't mean that cultists haven't technically settled it, and we just don't know about it because they don't exactly advertise, right? They want to keep things on the down low, right? We'll say secret Cult. Cults. There we go. Cults in the hills. Very good. Larger threats, like a slumbering dragon or Lich of Old. It's like old with an E. Those were fancy. Say any. And we'll do with a question mark. Alright. And then we can also say what destroyed this, we'll say it's a kingdom. Sure. This kingdom, well, this settlement and its castle. This well, there we go, settlement and its, let's not lock in kings yet. Castle and the past. Are they still around? If so, why did they not settle the castle? Say resettle the castle. Okay. Apparently typed this twice, 'cause I'm a fool. And I also did the wrong thing. Nope, there we go. Alright, we're good. And then the castle. Creations of madness. Well, no. We don't necessarily need to make it madness. Wait, hold on. I missed something. Okay, no, we're good. We're good. I'll watch that later. It looks like a funny meme, but not right now. It is impossible. Yep. Creations of madness. There we go. I don't want to phrase this. Say signs of carnage, lingering threats. There we go. We haven't been doing periods here. Stop. Alright. So the castle itself. Who was the leader? Human, dwarf, ogre, / other. No, it's a Minotaur. Minotaur, Nagas, the Sage, the Barbarian, who are all... No. Who are all of they? That's not how that works. Who are they? You just say, who are they? And then we can say ambitions / goals. We can also say ambitions / goals here. Well, except I can't spell ambitions twice. Alright. The entities of the wizard. Why were they created? Have they all escaped? So we rolled some strange creatures up last stream, so we might recycle some of those, or we might just make up our own stuff. But at the very least, it seems there was some sort of wizard here who was a fan of making chimeras. Perhaps it was one of the Nagas, or perhaps the Nagas enjoyed helping. I don't know. That sounds like something they'd be into. Snake people like doing weird things. The structure and its defenses. What defenses are still intact? How many floors? Anything frozen in time? Very good. Put that inside, it'll just look nicer. Though the other way technically works as well. Alright, so then the castle is probably going to be a dungeon. I don't think I want to make it the first dungeon. It sounds like... Oh, I had been doing periods for here. Haha, okay, we'll go put those periods in then. I don't think I want to make the castle be the first adventure location. They certainly could go there first. I want it to be available from the very beginning. But that's very much a location that I think it's okay to not necessarily be balanced for, like, first to third level characters, right? I think it's okay if they go in there, get in over their head, and realize, oh, nope, okay, we're gonna go and do other things, and then we'll come back once we have some cool magic weapons, right? I think that's the general feel I want for the castles. I don't want it to necessarily wipe them if they go in there under-leveled, but, like, one of them dying, holding the door for the rest to escape, right? That's definitely something that's on the table. So we have our tavern, we have the town, right? We'll say, actually, any other adventures in the town? Rats to be cleared out of basements, sewers, catacombs. Very good. All right. Because the town itself, considering the castle's already an adventuring location, between the castle, the town, and the surrounding wilderness, we have a lot of potential adventuring locations, possibly enough for you to, like, stick an entire campaign just right there in this local area without even having to go further than that. Especially if we do have, like, a later on, like, a higher level threat, like a dragon that's decided, you know what, I'm done hibernating for 50 years or so. Let's go see what the locals are up to. Oh, they've rebuilt the city. Oh, they've started to, like, bring in some cool stuff there. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go looting, right? So maybe later on, then we can have a big threat like that, or like a lich who, or not even necessarily a lich. You could just have a wizard have had a laboratory hidden in, like, the forest or the hills or the mountains or whatnot, and they just put themselves in a suspended animation, right? You're just like, okay, well, right now, there's not a whole lot to do, and I think I just want to go to the future. So they do that. Or maybe they were waiting on something to happen, and then their servants were to awaken them, but that thing never happened, or their servants died off before they could awaken them, that sort of thing. So there's a possibility that there could be some lurking, not necessarily a big bad out there. We could make it a good aligned wizard, right? But some force of nature out there could certainly exist. So I don't know. There's a lot of different directions we could go. Right now, things are very much like loosey-goosey, and the sky's the limit. So I think what we want to do... Do I want to just draw a map? I think I just want to draw a map. No, I think we'll start answering some questions. No, I think I do want to draw a map. All right, we'll draw a map. Okay, let's go over here. Desk. We don't need this no more. F off. Sit over there for the time being. Have any more scratch paper in this pile? No. Alright, well, we can grab this then. I don't think I want to do anything with a pen yet. Got this. So, do we just want to put it in the center of the map? We'll put it in the almost center of the map. How about that? So we're going to say this is the town, right? It's going to be this dot right here. This town. Town. We know that they had to have come from some route. You know what? No, let's not start with the town. Let's start with the mountains. The mountains and hills are much more important when it comes to this kind of stuff. They inform a lot of the geography. I think we put them in first. So, let's say the mountains are going this way. And there'd be a bit of a cluster here. Bit of a clump. Then they can narrow back down again. Go off map. Whoop, busy drawing on my desk. That's not what I want. There we go. Do they just want to fade here? Do they just want to taper and fade there? Or do we keep them going off the map? I think what we do is we make them a little bit thicker here. There we go. And then I heard a noise. Weird. And then they can taper and fade here, but it doesn't matter. They're mostly on map, right? So we've got our mountains. Do we want to add a coastline? If we add a coastline, then if we want to add in directional winds, that could potentially give us a rain shadow, right? Is that something we want to do? Well, we know that whichever side has the rain, that's the side that we want to put our town on. That's the side that would be civilized. Well, no, not necessarily, because that's probably the side that is already civilized and stable. So we probably want to put ours on the other side of that rain shadow, where things are a little bit more of a scrublandy, right? Not necessarily like full-on desert Mad Max, right? But things can be a little bit difficult here. But it is human nature to expand, so who's to deny human nature? That's certainly something we could do. Yeah, sure. We can put in. Oh no, it would. Yeah, all right. Put in a bit of a. Whoa. There we go. A coastline here. Well, I don't quite like that squiggle, but we can just get rid of it. There we go. That can be a good enough coastline. They tend to the waves don't tend to leave stuff like that. Well, no, that can still exist. This can just be like a little cliff that underneath it it's nice and smooth, but it's like, you know, let me just draw it. So this little bit right there could be like this, and then it just kind of tapers down here. Here's the ocean waves lapping at it, right? There we go. Yeah, so it's like a little overhang, right? So we can keep that there if we wanted to. I like that. But the rest can all be relatively smooth. So let's undo this here. There we go. All right, so we've got like a loose coastline, and we can just completely redesign it later on if we need to, but there we go. Which direction we want to say the winds are coming in? We can say the winds are coming in like this. There we go. Winds. So then that would mean the rain clouds come in, they get stopped by the mountains, and so then the rain shadow is over here. So outside of where rivers would come down, right? Because there would still be rivers that would come this way and not just that way. But outside of where rivers are, this place is not going to be very green. So we can now say rain shadow. Well, if I can spell shadow. Apparently I don't know how to spell shadow. Fuck. Alright, well. All hail shadow. Rain shadow side. There we go. Alright. So we know that this area is green. Likely populated. Very good. Well, I started writing too small, so it's harder for you guys to read it, unfortunately. But you can still, you understand, right? I can make that a little bit bigger. Oh boy. Alright. Just in case someone pops into stream and misses me verbalizing that. Alright. Populated. And I know my handwriting's not perfect, but it's probably good enough. Alright. So I think most of our content is going to take place on this side of the map and in the mountains. Because the mountains is where we can put like giants and orcs and dragons and reclusive cults and wizard towers and whatnot. Like, we should probably also have a forest, though. Which we should probably put on this side or in the mountains. Or at least bordering the mountains, because there'd still be some rivers trickling down, right? So what we can do is we can put a little patch of green on this side, right? We can say that there's a river, comes down here. Very good. We can say there's another one that comes down here. Very good. And they can join right there. Well, this one looks like it goes for longer than this one. So let's make this river appear to be the dominant one. This one can join in there. How about that? That looks good to me. That looks better. It doesn't need to be 100% realistic. We can mess with it later. So we know that if we were to put a forest, we'd want to put it here. We also know that if we want to put that town somewhere, we probably either want to put it somewhere along these rivers, or we want to draw a couple more rivers and then put it there. Sure, we could have like a little river coming between these mountains here. That sounds good to me. Right there. And of course, there'd be all sorts of smaller little tributaries feeding into all these rivers. We're just marking some of the more major ones, right? And then we'll have like a far off. Just gonna go off map and do something. That looks good to me. So if we know that the populated area is here, and we can see the mountains are thinning this way, and maybe they end up thinning that way, that means that if we do want to have a trail, they likely came around the mountains one way or the other, if they're civilized lands, right? That's our next big question. Just that. Go. Is which direction do they want to come through? I think we want to go with this lower route. And we put the town here. Well, no, because that doesn't give us a whole lot of map to work with unless we go to the mountains. Well, then again, that's our main plan anyways, to go to the mountains. No, this isn't meant to be a city. This isn't meant to be a city. The city would have been at the bottom of this river right here. Because then, if we do put some forests up in this area, then loggers can go and send the logs downstream to that city, right? This assumes we're making stuff out of wood, which for our rollable tables, we're making stuff out of stone and dirt for the most part. Bricks and marble was what we rolled. We don't necessarily have to stick with that theme, but I do like the idea of this potentially have been like a dwarven town. But they don't really settle the surface all that much. That would be inside of the mountains itself, and I don't think we want to go for that. So I think this is human, but they decided to make it out of stone that they mined the mountains for. So they definitely have some quarries of rock, or at least they definitely had some quarries of rock in the mountains, which you can't really send them downriver that easily. Oh, hey, Lannis. Yeah. Well, that's how I'm making this, is based off from geopolitics right now. I placed the town and then thought better of it, and just like, you know what, we're gonna do this instead. But no, there's definitely some old mining quarries in the mountains somewhere. What would they want to export downriver then? If this was in the rain shadow, they probably didn't have a whole lot of forestation. I mean, maybe that was what they did. They did export wood downriver to somewhere that's important that we don't have to worry about right now. And maybe that's why there isn't any forests right now. We can have some dead forests, right? That works well for me. Yeah, geography first. It does help a lot. So what I think we do, well then again, how long ago did civilization fall? Because we know this area was populated. How long ago was this populated? How long would it take a forest to regrow from scratch? Actually, let me go try and look that up. We can look into Portals of Torch later. Forest regrowth after logging. How about that? Forest regeneration and regrowth requires sufficient numbers to desirable tree. I got it. Yep, cool. No, I know why forests are important. Thank you. Got it. Don't care. Tell me about the regrowth, please. How we do? No, I don't care. Can you? I don't care. Okay, maybe this has some stuff. Occurs naturally as without planting trees. Okay, good. But many factors can affect forest regeneration. To regenerate naturally, the current forest must produce seedlings, stump sprouts, and root suckers that will become the next forest following the harvest of natural disturbance. Okay. The right conditions are necessary for... Okay. Unfortunately, the right conditions often are not met. Okay, so that could be it. It got deforested, but then the right conditions never got met. Which would make sense if this is in the rain shadow. Like, that's already one thing that's not going for it, right? So that could work. Yeah, I'm not sure I want to do fire yet. I like the idea of logging. Let's see. We abbreviate this. Whoa, 3 competing factors. Vegetation, deer impact, and light on the forest floor. Okay. So the light on the forest floor, combined with not as many clouds because of the rain shadow, right? That's definitely something that could have turned this into more of a scrubland than a forest. But there'd still be like stumps of dried out wood. Yeah, some of those dried out stumps and lingering stuff might still catch on fire, so this could be a forest fire type area. That's definitely something we could do. Competing vegetation, because the plants interfere with the germination and growth of desirable seedlings by casting dense shade. Oh, okay, so light is necessarily, maybe the shade itself stops the... Okay, got it. So some of that scrubland itself could have been shading the trees and blocking their regrowth. Competing plants also provide cover for small mammals that feed on tree seeds. Okay, yeah. We've got plenty of excuses to put like some scrublands around these dead forests, and we can still put life there. It's just there's not like trees. That could be something fun. We call it the Sea of Stumps. I like that idea. I think I want my population to have come from down below here, and I'm gonna erase this now. Wah, 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 go away. Wah, wah. Very good. Sea of Stumps. That's a cool location. We have to at least put one adventure there. I don't think we want it to necessarily be right on a river, but we want it to be near a river. So probably in between these two rivers. Let me actually research that a little bit. Forest placement in relation to rivers. Because I know sometimes rivers go through forests and whatnot, but wood placement in river restoration. No, I don't care about restoration. I care about how the world naturally works. Can a forest alter? No, okay. Ecosystem rivers and streams. Okay, wow. This sure isn't useful. Let's see what we can get from images, right? Alright, well, this isn't quite working either. Well, here we go. We can see a river here. It's not like the widest river in the world. It's definitely one that you could cross on foot. Yeah, I'm definitely keeping Sea of Stumps. I'm glad you like it. This reminds me of Idaho. They have a lot of dead twig trees like that, and then they catch on fire, and then bad things happen. Yeah, and we kind of have like this hilly, mountainous terrain is what we are kind of going for. So this definitely works. All right, cool. Yeah, we can put them in between some of the rivers, right? Let me erase that circle real quick. Let's say the Sea of Stumps is this region. We can even extend it over here to this river, I think, and then up a little bit. Then we're trying to keep it to this side of the mountains, so we'll stop it right there. But otherwise, well, let's thread some of these mountains. How about that? So goes around this one here, and then there, and then we don't want it to be at the mouth of the river necessarily. And we can come here, and it can go around there, down here. There we go. And that looks good to me. At least as far as a rough draft goes, right? I'm gonna erase this. That looks bad. Wah. And I know in the grand scheme of things, this stuff doesn't matter, but it makes my brain feel better, so fuck off. Okay. We'll have it go down through this valley, I think. I think that works. It's down through this valley. Then we can have it across here and then through this valley, I think. That sounds good to me. There we go. That's a good range for our Sea of Stumps, and it's quite large. That's a nice proper sea. Alright, so what we'll do is I think we'll make this a bit of a squiggly line. Or at least we'll draw some scribbles on it, and this will kind of make it look not like the rivers or the mountains. I know that this doesn't really do a good job of denoting forest, but it's just something so we can remember where it is and what it is. And I've already forgotten what this line is. Was that supposed to be the start of the Sea of Stumps and then I retconned it? I think that's what that line was. We can get rid of it. Alright. Very good. Very good. Squibble, squibble, squibble. We can workshop that later, but for right now, I don't think we want our town itself to be inside the forest, but being on the edge of the forest would be good, and being alongside a river would be good. So I think we can finally place our town, and I think we place it right here. Because then they could have been a logging town that took from the mountains here. Well, I'm getting ideas. Hold on. There's nothing saying we have to put it next to the major river. We could realistically put it just about anywhere on this side of the mountains, and there could be like a stream that goes by it, right? Makes sense for a town because the woods and the river also act both as natural resources but also natural defense. Yes, but no. Sometimes forests can act as defense, but that's defense from other humans, potentially. There are creatures of the forest that might house themselves in that forest, and being too close to a forest could end up being a double-edged sword. I don't know. That's just my thinking, anyway. If it's to deter, if the purpose of the forest is to deter marching armies, then I think yes, it does act as a very good defense. But in a fantasy world, where forests tend to be a place of danger, I'm not sure I'd want to put something right next to a forest unless you're deliberately trying to log. Maybe they have. Well, they definitely have a fence. They have a large wall. When we rolled it before, it was like 30 feet high, right? So we could still put it there. I'm tempted to put it like over here though, or maybe here. But if I put it too far away from the center of the map, then we run into some problems. I like the idea of putting it here, and there's a smaller stream that goes through there. Yeah, let's go with that. This is definitely a stronger river, and I think that there would have been a logging town here. So I think we do still put a town here. And is that town also fallen or not? Who can say, right? We can also put the ruins of another town, potentially. Right here. We're going to say L for logging, L for logging. And that's going to be where we're going to be. We're going to be here. We'll keep it unfilled in since we're filling in the other ones. We're going to go T for town. How about that? This is a C for a creek. Creek. And then we can label this. This is the C of stumps. There we go. C. We can write it bigger so people on the live stream can see it. C of stumps. Very good. All right, I think that's a good start. How close do we want to put that? We might actually lower that a little bit, because if we put some hill lands in here, right? How far do we want the hill lands to go? I mean, some of the hill lands could be just in this area as well. It might be okay to put this in the hill lands, right? Sure, let's start putting in like some hills, right? I think we're gonna put the border of the hill lands here. And then that would extend down here. We can erase this arrow, we know where they came from. from this area north where things were green. And of course we can draw some hills here. All right. So for the most part, if we wanted to put any kind of flat desert type place, it looks like this is probably where we want to put some desert, because there's not any river directly going through it. I mean, there'd presumably be like the small creek would still go there probably, and then probably dead end in here somewhere, right? Or turn into a lake. It's more likely. Turn into a small lake. Maybe that's what we do. Maybe we put the town next to the lake, right? Yeah, I like that idea. The idea that this is not very good, and so there was like a small creek that went here, but it dead ended this little lake, right? That's quite a large lake, actually. Let me just a small loop. Very good. All right, we can get rid of this. We know this is a desert. Desert or steppe. Hold on. Yeah, it is important. This is a hot steppe. Hot steppe. There we go. We got there. So I think our town, maybe there was one upstream, and we can still put that there that participated in the logging. This is now another logging town. So I don't think... There we go. So... Oh no, but then I wanted it to be there so we could do mountains. Well, shoot. Because then we can have our nice little mountain quarry. Now we're still close enough to it. Outside of settling in the mountains, which we're trying to avoid. Yeah, okay, so we do need to be out here because we're outside of the hill land border. Alright, yeah, alright. It's fine. It's fine. And there's nothing saying that you have to have your quarry in the mountains. You just need there to be rocks somewhere. So, of course, there can be debris that came down here that they can harvest from, right? So we're good to go. We can have them... Do we want to put them on the lake or near the lake? If they're too close to the lake, then constructing that giant artificial hill for them to put their castle over becomes a bit icky, because then the ground is more likely to not be as solid and allow for that. Then again, this is where stuff is kind of dead-ending. Yeah, that and erosion. Erosion. Yeah, erosion for the rocks from before. Got it. Yeah. I don't think I want to put them on the lake. I think we put them near the little lake, though. Because the lakes, where they dead end, it doesn't tend to be a pleasant place, necessarily. I guess it depends on what kind of residue is coming off from the mountains. So nowadays, there tends to be like a lot of salt and pesticides and whatnot at these dead-end lakes. So they're not good because of how we do stuff nowadays. But maybe back then that wasn't the case. So maybe this would totally be fine. But it would definitely be some kind of salt lake at the very least, would be my assumption, since it's coming from the mountains. I'm not going to name it Salt Lake, but we can at least say a salt lake. Yeah, right outside of the Hilllands. I think we put our starting town right here. T for town. There we go. And then we can see the other little ruins of civilization on this side, or maybe a few of them still persist, right? But we know that this side of the map, that way, is civilized land. This side of the map is not civilized land, or at least used to be civilized land. And we can kind of get a good feel for it. And I know that these hills don't look natural. Realistically, there'd be a lot more hills in here, right? But I'm not going to draw in a bunch of... Oh, maybe I will. Actually, I do want to make it look nice. All right, fine. We'll make it look a little bit nice. There we go. Get in a few more hills. At least a couple more. Stray hill over there sounds good to me. See if Stumps eclipses what hills would be there. We don't have to worry about it. Put a hill right next to this split here to imply that maybe that is what... Well, that's not how it causes it necessarily. Anyway. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Right there. Well, very good. All right. So we've got a decent idea of what's going on in this area now. So if the monsters attacked the towns in this area for a reason, it could have been for the resources, for the wood, and they just simply wanted to take over the lumberjack business, so to speak. So if we wanted to go that route, they would need to be semi-civilized monsters, like hobgoblins, that are looking for that wood to craft axes, bow staves, javelins, the like. Orcs make javelins and the like too, but not quite to the same degree. Well, but orcish blacksmiths are definitely a thing. Orcish steel is typically a theme in a lot of settings. So, orcs interested in plundering wood resources of humans and having access to mountainous terrain, possibly rich in bronze or the like. Maybe not bronze, but you know what I mean. Some sort of metal they can fashion things out of. I think orcs would make sense as well. Hobgoblins or orcs would both work. Goblins are just a little bit too silly. Kobolds tend to just kind of stick to themselves and mine, but either of them is technically viable. Considering the mountains, there's all sorts of fun little hideaways and tunnel systems the kobolds could have gotten up to, right? But I don't think they'd have a reason to attack the caravan. Kobolds tend to stick to themselves until it's time to expand. Once their population reaches a certain threshold, then the kobolds go out adventuring and they settle a new little location, right? Or they sometimes go on quests for a dragon to serve. So, neither of which tends to be motivation for kidnapping people. That's definitely more of a goblin thing. And we use orcs all the time. I think we use... Back in the day, hobgoblins would have been like the big threat. How about that? Maybe there's still some lingering hobgoblin outposts here. But otherwise, there's regular goblinoids, just regular goblins and bugbears that are just more savage and less like under direct command. Perhaps they were turncoats back in the day. Not necessarily turncoats, but they abandoned the hobgoblin regime because they don't tend to take orders well, necessarily. Because it seems as though the hobgoblins have largely pulled back from this area. Otherwise, this would be just swarming with hobgoblin strongholds, and humanity would have no reason to come back and resettle this land. No reason at all. So I think there were hobgoblins that came and they took and pillaged, and that is what resulted in the Sea of Stumps, right? and then they retreated back to whatever land they needed, which was probably what was downriver. Well, downriver originally was probably human capitals of a sort, or it could lead to the coastline. What we could do? We're toying with that idea. I think down in these southern lands, there was some kind of war between humanity and hobgoblins won. And now they're just down there content to do their own thing because they've got the resources they wanted out of here. So there's no reason to remain in this land and keep it conquered, right? And so they are just kind of vibing. And maybe that's a threat later on in the campaign as they take notice that, oh, hold on a moment. There's some profits up here we overlooked. Let's go back up there and retake that settlement, right? So maybe that's an angle we look into. But otherwise, I think we have Hobgoblin Empire to the south. That sounds good to me. They got what they came for, and then they just decided to not resettle it. It wasn't worth it, right? Once the trees dried up, the Sea of Stumps became a thing. They pulled back. There's nothing really of note up here other than mining, right? But it seems as though humanity had been mining that for quite a bit as well. We could also say there was a dwarf population that had been mining that for quite some time as well. And so that could be an excuse to add in some lost dwarven strongholds in the mountains that perhaps some orcs have taken over. Do I want to include orcs and goblins? I don't think I do. Or, if we want a reason for the hobgoblins to have left, maybe something scared them away. It wasn't worth it, right? There's resources here, sure, but we already got the wood. We got plenty of stone and metal. Let's cut our losses and leave before a dragon or whatever other threat it is that came for them gets them. That could work. So perhaps humanity is not privy to what threat scared off the hobgoblins. They just know the hobgoblins retreated. Which does give us motivation to put like some kind of slumbering red dragon here. Yeah, I like that. I'm just not sure if I want to use a dragon or not. It's classic, sure, but also overplayed. I don't know what else I'd really put here as a force that would potentially scare off a hobgoblin legion. Very few things actually scare off a successful hobgoblin legion. Yeah, we'll go with a red dragon. It's the mountains, why not? If the Sea of Stumps was still around, if it was a proper forest, I think it could have been a green dragon. But considering that the Sea of Stumps was successfully chopped down first, I think that if there was a green dragon, it would have relocated by now. Yeah. So I think we do have to go with red dragon or a white dragon that's on one of the mountain peaks, but yeah, that works. That works for me. I'll do a red dragon. The hobgoblins had conquered and had settled these lands for a little bit, long enough to drain it of its resources, but on the tail end of that, a red dragon came and they hit all these towns and any other towns in here, including dwarven strongholds. Eventually took one of those dwarven strongholds or the like as its lair, and it's gone into like a 100-year sleep, right? That's something big dragons like to do. That sounds good to me. All right, I'm going to go back to the desktop. There we go. We don't need to look at this anymore. And here. The past. We don't need to do all caps. We can be proper here. The past. Uh-oh, this wasn't on my thing. Oh no, okay, so let's go here and unbold it, please. There we go. And 11, and there we go. Alright, the past. The region the campaign takes place in is unsettled. We'll say abandoned. Abandoned scrublands. And hilllands. Very good. No, not Hollands, hilllands. Does it not know what hillland is? I'm not going insane, am I? Hilllands is a thing? Yeah, hilllands is a thing. Almost this is for Highlands apartments. Hillland records. No, we're good. We're fine. Just freaking... No, hilllands is a thing. Ignore. Alright. Hilllands in the rain shadow of the mountainous scar that stretches from it's northwest to southeast. From northeast. From the northeast. Whoa, hold on. East. There we go. No, west. 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 The other west. Okay. West. There we go. From the northwest to the southeast. The region the campaign takes place in is unsettled, abandoned scrublands and hilllands in the rain shadow. The mountainous scar stretches from the northwest to the southeast. Okay, good. Yeah, that I think that describes the map just fine with a single sentence. Let's see. A creek. Maybe not a creek, because creeks are much smaller. This would still be a river. A weak river. Dead ending into a small salt lake. Borders the town of, and then for right now, we had our rollable table for the town name. It doesn't really fit with the theme we're going for, so I don't think we're going to use it, actually. So we're just going to say the town of, and then brackets, town name. We don't have to do it in all caps. All right, town name. Oh, name. There we go. Borders the town of town name. It and its nearby settlements were initially, there we go, I'll say originally settled by humans and dwarves of the past. They came up here to, say, strip the land. Why not? We don't need to be nice about it. Strip the land of its natural resources. Did I do that right? Yeah, I did that right. Okay, we're good. became your strip dismounted. Okay, got it. A well, there you go, Goblin Empire to the south noticed the operation. Well, there you go. Operation invaded and conquered these settlements, taking the resources for themselves to fuel their never-ending war machine. Nope, I do want themselves. There we go. I can't just combine never-ending like that. Fine, I'll at least put a dash in between. No, I said dash. Why is it not letting me do a dash? Is it glitched? Oh, okay, no, it's... Alright, it was glitched before, but now it's working, apparently. Weird freaking thing. Alright. They continued... We'll say they resettled and continued the logging operations of man, stripping the forests to the last, resulting in the Sea of Stumps. And you know it's important because we capitalized it. Alright, there we go. Around, say shortly after, they awoke, awoke the sleeping dragon, and then dragon name. We'll say, and title. He needs a title. Every dragon has a title. Very good. They woke the sleeping dragon. We'll say during a mining excursion. There we go. They fled south, and the dragon, after looting all it could of the surrounding establishments, did not pursue them to their homelands. There we go. This region lay abandoned and unsettled for, we'll say, over 100 years. 100 years is a long time for the dragon to take a nap. I know that, like, some dragons do that, but maybe go 50 years? That's long enough for, like, 2 human generations. And it's not like the dwarves necessarily knew about the dragon either, or either faction knew about the dragon, so... It could be as few as 20 years. It's just they sent some scouts, and it turns out the scouts is like, well, the goblins are gone, so I mean, we could come back now, I guess. They didn't know why the goblins are gone. For a time, we'll just say a time, consider filling in later. Consider a specific number later. There we go. Originally abandoned, unsettled for a time. until human explorers. Well, no, I think. Do we want to make this? Because I liked the idea of these ruins being kind of ancient. Some of the other ruins can be ancient. We'll say this town isn't necessarily ancient, but that doesn't mean that the dwarven ruins couldn't have been ancient, or there might not have been some kind of ancient wizard tower in the mountains or hidden in the Sea of Stumps. Well, formerly hidden in the Sea of Stumps, because now it's no longer a forest, so you can't really hide it there anymore. So we can put some old magic in those two locations, but the castle itself can be relatively modern. That sounds good to me. Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. All right. It's regionally abandoned and settled for a time until human explorers from the north. Well, the north east. There we go. Stumbled upon it. Do I want to make these the same humans who settled it in the first place or not? I like the idea of these being different humans. That the humans that originally settled it were the ones that were warring with the hobgoblins to the south. And they had simply expanded north towards the mountains, but never quite went to the other side of it, right? And then the hobgoblins went and conquered them and took their resources, including these settlements they had to the north. But of course, the people north of those mountains, as it being a natural border, were none the wiser. I mean, maybe like a scout came and like gave rumors, right? But I like the idea of this being on the fringe of civilization, that, oh, perhaps actually there's just a colony on the other side of the mountains, right? We do border the sea here. So perhaps some grander kingdom from another continent or another island has sailed and broke land on the other side of the mountains and have been slowly exploring and expanding, and they're just now exploring the other side of the mountains. That would work. That would work. I like that idea. So let me go add a little bit of stuff to imply that. The very top, the region of camping. Okay, weak, river, dead. Okay, it and its nearby settlements were originally settled by. Let's see, the humans and dwarves of the past. There we go. All right. This was originally abandoned and settled for a time until human colonists broke land north of the mountains. They've been slowly exploring and expanding southward. This is one of their first forays south of the mountains. Very good. I like that. That works very well. Southwards. There we go. Okay. No, we don't have to name a time now. Haha. Very good. For a time. Just end sentence there, and we can say recently, comma. Human colonists broke land north of the mountains. Very good. All right. Very, very good. So it does mean that the road through the mountains to the north, let me go back to the other camera. It does mean that if they are trying to settle here and not here, It would imply that they probably have already tried to resettle this logging town, or at least seen that like it doesn't really matter, right? And they've decided this is a more favorable location, probably because of its walls and the castle, right? Which I assume that these logging towns probably didn't have a castle and walls. That perhaps this tea, even though it's not quite in a favorable position, this could have been the lands of the, what would it be called? The Marquis, right? Because this would be the march of whatever kingdom civilization used to be to the south, right? So the Marquis of whatever the name of this region was probably the leader of this castle. So this would have been a march, because this would have been a border here with the mountains, and perhaps border some of these rivers as well. So there could have been some rival faction on the other side of this river, perhaps, or on the other side of this river, perhaps, right? Say, yeah, no, we don't need to actually write anything there. But anyways, that answers some questions. We now know who the not king, but the leader of the castle is. He's the Marquis of the former human civilization that is now dead because the hobgoblins killed them all. Very good. There we go. My question is, do I want them to settle the logging town or not? Because that could be a potential adventuring zone, right? It's also close enough to the mountains that could have also been like neighboring their quarry and the mines as well. Yeah, I think it would have needed to have significant infrastructure to govern all of that, and then also govern transport between them. It also means that on the forest edge here, there was probably a trail going between them to these various logging towns. Around that hill. There we go. Because then we want them to go by land, because they couldn't have gone by water yet. But then once they got to this logging town, then they could send it downriver. So we know that these two logging towns, I'm going to say trade, and trade. Goes that way. This is center of trade. Sent downriver. But of course, there's still probably some people that want to have gone up here, so there probably was also like a route by land. It goes up. And this was trade route. All right. And obviously, the wilderness has reclaimed these trails, right? An observant person could probably still find them and navigate them. But they're definitely not like as civilized and as working as they were in the past. So, and since they haven't necessarily, I think that we probably do have a camp here at this logging town, but that the big place they're trying to settle is here because of the walls and the castle, right? That's what makes it more their priority, is to settle that castle first, and then maybe they go and explore this area. So I think that gives us a good excuse to put like an explorers guild on this side of the mountains. There's a lot of people that would want to get in on this, right? This is the big expansion that's going on. People don't know what's over here. Maybe there's rumors of gold, right? This is our Oregon Trail, then, would effectively be coming from the north here, winding through the mountains, and we're trying to now stabilize it. We'll say fledgling trail. Fledgling trail. Kind of winding its way through the mountains. And of course, we can have them go from there. Well, we can have them cross the creek. We'll have it crossed there at this town, because I'm sure that there's probably a way to cross it there at that town. Anyway. Yeah. This looks good to me. So for the most part, we really only need to have the camera zoomed in on this area right here, right? I should go like that. Nope, that's not going to work for me, is it? Okay, nope. It's just going to be a wonky camera. There we go. We only really need to have it zoomed in right here, right? Because we know that there's a trail that's going north, but we don't need to necessarily know what the coastline is up there and how the colonists have settled that, right? And then we don't necessarily need to know what's south. We just know that there were hobgoblins and humans and whatnot down south. There's probably still some remnants of the hobgoblin army down there, but it seems as though the Empire has, at least for now, decided that exploring north is not worth it, right? So we could probably cut off the map like right there after getting in their trade capital for this particular little region. But I'm assuming that that would be a fancy place as well. That even though the personal settlement of the Marquis is here, I'm actually going to put that in. Marquis, nope, not a G, Q, there we go. Key, there we go. Marquis. Castle. Alright, there we go. This was also a place of power, so there was probably some other minor lord or baron here. We'll say baron. Barony. Of course, they were then conquered, but this can help us inform the flavor, right? We know that these were either human or dwarven settlements. They got taken over by hobgoblins and converted into hobgoblin settlements. And then they got spooked by a dragon, and then the dragon would have raided them for everything that they have. So the castle probably has a big old hole in its roof somewhere where the dragon went in to go in and loot, right? But that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. I like the sound of that. Let's switch back over here. Slowly exploring and expanding southwards. This is one of their first forays south of the mountains. They've chosen to prioritize resettling these ruins due to their excellent defenses and access to a castle they hope to make operational in the, there we go, near future. Priority number 1, however, is stabilizing their supply route. I don't think this is a trade route yet. Presumably if there was stuff down here to mine and they got like some of those mines up and running again, right, then it'd probably become a trade route. But at least initially, this is someone funding explorers and settlers to head south, brave this mountain trail, with supplies and villagers and whatnot, and settle this castle town, right? Priority number 1, however, is stabilizing their supply route through the mountains. There we go. To the quarry. And then to the castle town. All right. We can make this its own little separate section. Instead of recently, we can say in recent years. It just sounds better. Try and avoid E's at the end of stuff. In recent years. The colonists broke land north of the mountains. They've been slowly... Oh, there I go, breaking that rule. It's fine. We can revise this if we need to. Slowly exploring and expanding southwards. It's one of their first forays south of the mountains. They've chosen to prioritize resettling these ruins due to their excellent defenses and access to a castle. We'll say that they hope to make operational in the near future. Priority number 1, however, is stabilizing their supply route through the mountains to the quarry and then to the castle town. Oh, sorry, through the... No, oh, we can say through the quarry, actually. Through the quarry. There we go. And then to the castle town. All right. That works. So we've got like a brief overview of history. We've got this work is a good little summation, and then we can go into the details about the past. So I'm gonna go use the bathroom, and then we can return to this. Well, hold on. And do a thing here real quick. I realized I goofed that. Do need to be live streaming. Yeah. Firefox, there we go. Discord, so people can actually see me right. Alright. If people were to join that chat, which they haven't yet. Ho ho. Alright. Alright. So we can change this to summation. Summation of regional history. Events? We'll say events. Yeah. Alright. Now we can say the past. We're just going to reuse that title. the past. All right. The humans. The humans of the past, we'll say, are all but extinct. Some may remain in the form of breeding stock enslaved by the goblins. A few clusters of savages in the mountains. Oh, there we go. Mountains and hilllands, or interbred with orcs and ogres years ago. Largely, their history, there we go, their history is lost to them. All right. They were once of a larger human empire to the south. From the south. They came north to mine and forest. There we go. Mine and forest. Forest as a verb. Does that really work? I guess it technically does. Log. Log would be better. To mine and log. They were overseen by marquee name. We don't need to put the name in yet. Castle. There we go. I'm gonna say castle owner. Name. There we go. And his Baron. And then Baron's name. Very good. We know where they both were. The Marquis was at this castle. The Baron was to the southeast at that center of trade. Because you need some kind of person in power there to manage an operation like that. If you've got loggers and miners coming in from 2 or more different locations, then make sure that their stuff gets chartered down to the south and they're properly compensated, that definitely requires some kind of higher management to make sure people get along, or someone to run the court system when people don't get along, and inevitably someone calls for someone else's death, right? All right. They were seen by Marquis name and Baron name. All right. Their empire. Well, we'll say kingdom. Differentiate it from the hobgoblin since we can. And we haven't named a king yet. We used the term marquis, so we can do king. Larger kingdom. There we go. From the south. Your kingdom. Well, except I can't spell kingdom apparently. Kingdom Hearts. Simple and clean. There we go. Kingdom from the south was conquered by hobgoblins And it wasn't long before the hobgoblins, there we go. Goblins, no, goblins, there we go. Came north for their prize, the resources of an industrious kingdom. Alright. That does a good job. It also name drops the important people. And then as we know more, we can put their details in like the castle section itself. I don't know if we want to make the wizard human or not, but I do like the idea of there being a wizard or witch or something that did used to live in the forest. Now I like the idea of a tower just in this sea of stumps. You see in the distance this shape stretches to the heavens, right? Maybe not to the heavens, because it did need to be like disguised amongst the tree line and not obvious. So, but anyways, yeah, we certainly could. I like the idea of a wizard tower being somewhere in the sea of stumps. Sounds cool. The wizards. My initial thinking is that the wizard in the tower, he went there to be by himself a long time ago. Maybe he had an apprentice, right? But there's no real reason for him to send the apprentice to go and ally with the Marquis and serve as the court wizard. So the court wizard probably came from the Southlands. And this is probably an unknown and unrelated wizard. As much as I'd like to connect them, as much as I feel like that would be better. I don't know. Yeah, we won't connect them for now. It is what it is. The wizards. The recluse of... We'll call it the last tree. I like the idea of that. The last tree. Maybe the tower had a different name back in the day, but now, because the Sea of Stumps is gone, and it's like the last standing structure there, we can call it the last tree. The recluse of the last tree. There we go. Well, we don't have to say once. Maybe he's in stasis. There's nothing stopping him from being in stasis. We floated that idea earlier. I think we keep it. The last tree. Sorry, the recluse of, we'll say, the tower now known as the last tree. Sorry, not known as. Known as, there we go. The last tree. Yet lives. He is in stasis. His servants perished and were unable to wake him at the appointed time. There you go. Do I want the dragon to have looted it? I think I like the idea of the hobgoblins having looted this, and the dragon just didn't care. I guess it depends on how we want to design the tower. Is the treasure at the top of the tower or the bottom of the tower? Right. Could the tower have been entered without destroying it by the dragon? I guess we could always give the dragon the ability to polymorph And then you could have entered the tower without fully destroying it. Maybe that's where the dragon is lairing right now, right? Sure, we'll say it's intact. That it's been partially looted. But perhaps not by hobgoblins. I think a wizard's defenses are too great for them. They might have poked their nose in the very beginning, but they definitely didn't get all the way through. And we can put the most important stuff underground. Yeah, because I like that idea. Enter from the top and the dungeon's underground. That sounds good to me. There we go. The hobgoblins didn't make too much progress in the tower. Much of it lays untouched. Sorry, we'll say lay untouched. There we go. Was more trouble than it was worth. The dragon, however, did explore it fairly thoroughly. We'll say while polymorphed. While polymorphed. Some of his most loyal, I'll say the lineage, there we go. The lineage of his most loyal guardians and worshippers, there we go. Have roots tied to, there we go. How do I phrase this? Most powerful guardians or worshippers, there we go, can be traced back to the wizard's servants. There we go, wizard's servants. Captured and twisted by the dragon. They captured, twisted, and taken. I think rather than a comma, this is one of those times where we can put a fancy little dash. There we go. All right. The other wizard name. Name. It's like court wizard name. And yes, I know that we didn't name the Wizard of the Tower here. I think that that's something cool that we can address in the section for the tower itself. The other wizard, court wizard name. There we go. Served Marquis Castle owner's name. There we go. Name. Do I want to have him flee and be a lingering threat out there somewhere? We know that we have this sleeping wizard of unknown alignment here at the last tree. A dungeon that perhaps the players explore and they can awaken him. Do I want to have there be another lingering wizard threat out there somewhere? It's most likely that he died to the hobgoblins or fled south. Well, no, because if he's fleeing south, then that would have been more civilized. That wouldn't have been more civilized land because that's already been conquered by the hobgoblins. It would have needed to have fled either north across the mountains or to the west. Perhaps he fled north to a dwarven settlement, and there's a dungeon there where the players can find evidence that he is dead. Marquee and then name. There we go. He spent his earnings on all manner of strange, chimeric experimentation. He did his job well, but otherwise, well, we can do that in a new sentence. He did his job well, but otherwise, he kept to himself and his lab. There we go. When the hobgoblins took the castle, he fled north. There we go. Seeking shelter with the dwarves. All right, and then we can just say that's a loose end that we can go and pull on later on if we need to. If we want to have there been like a human wizard with more chimera stuff and like a dwarven settlement that was sealed off for a long time, that could be interesting. Actually, oh, pardon me. I like the idea of that, of some of the dwarves deciding that the solution here to avoid being destroyed by the hobgoblins is to shut these big, massive, impenetrable iron doors. And they just devolved. And perhaps the wizard gained influence at some point in time and went mad, and we do know he is prone to chimeric experimentation. So perhaps the people were twisted by his magics, found themselves being used as experiments, right? You know what? I think I will just write that down, because otherwise I'm probably going to forget it. Sometimes I can float an idea and then I'll remember it later on, but I don't think I'll necessarily remember this later on, so I think I do need to write that down. They shut their impenetrable doors. Seeking, there you go, to outlast the hobgoblins' interest in their village. Go village. Yeah, let's go village. All right. We don't need to put impenetrable. We could say we shut their grand doors. How about their grand doors? I don't think the wizard necessarily gained power, but I think that he was eventually able to do enough to gain his own little laboratory, and that perhaps he started slowly kidnapping dwarves. And then things went amiss, and then some kind of contagion happened, and then there was like a mass mutation or a mass slaughter of what dwarves were there, right? Maybe one of the creatures ravaged the food supply, the storerooms, right? Or they, coincidentally or not, took up a position before the food supply so that no one could actually get the food before they would just die. And so then maybe the dwarves had to resort to cannibalism, and then we can have a bunch of ghouls down there. That sounds good to me. Yeah, that sounds good to me. That's like an entire little adventure in itself. a little dungeon with a small little dwarven village and some chimeric monstrosities, right? Shut the grand doors, seeking to outlast the hobgoblins' interest in their village. The mage, we'll say the wizard. There we go. We'll say after establishing himself amongst them, began slowly kidnapping dwarves. Oh, there we go. Dwarves. There we go. For experimentation. So the wizard quickly growing mad in this restrictive environment. We don't need to note that he established himself. We can kind of put two and two together there. Having quickly gone mad. How about that? Having quickly... I'm going to say having gone mad. Having gone mad in this restrictive environment. Began, we don't need to say slowly, kidnapping dwarves for experimentation. His chimeric monstrosities proved too much for him to handle. They broke out and began terrorizing the dwarves. There we go. Monstrosities. There we go. All right, very good. We'll say cut off from their food supply. The dwarves resorted to cannibalism, transforming into ghouls. Or if we want to be fancy and make them Wendigo, we could make them Wendigo instead. But ghouls is typically what happens when you resort to cannibalism in most high fantasy settings. So we'll go with ghouls. So now we have a dwarven settlement of old that is home to a mad wizard who may or may not be alive, and who may or may not have turned himself into some kind of chimeric abomination. We have a number of chimeric abominations. We have a bunch of ghouls. Yeah, that's cool. That's a nice little set piece. And that's probably somewhere near that quarry, because it would be convenient to have that quarry settlement near some dwarves to trade with, right? So I think that there's some great locked doors somewhere near that quarry that people haven't quite opened yet. And at some point in time, they do open it, and some terrible beast is unleashed, right? And then, of course, the party can choose to go in there and explore, but people are just like, that's where the monster came out. We ain't going in there. That place is dangerous. That's why they called on you guys, because we've heard that you guys have cleared the castle and saved the locals from goblins and whatnot. This sounds like something you guys could handle, right? And so then that could be adventure number 3. That sounds good to me. And by then, the scouts have gotten back from their expedition to the Sea of Stumps, and they could perhaps have then reported about the wizard tower that's out there. So, yeah. Yeah, we've got at least, 4 proper adventures, and then we can, have all sorts of little side quests and whatnot as well. There's nothing saying we have to stop here, right? But I think that works. So we'll say the adventures. I know I'm going. Oh, there we go. I know I'm going a little bit ahead of myself here. But we have rescue suppliers and workers from the goblins. Very good. We have clear the castle. We have investigate the unsealed dwarven village. Chimeras. And ghouls. There we go. And this is, of course, largely goblins. Goblinoids. And the theme for the castle would, of course, be traps and threats of old. We'll say traps, chimeras, and threats of old. Capitalize old and threats. Good. And then we have investigate the last tree. Wizard Tower. Old Wizard Tower. Alright. That's its theme. Very good, very good. Do we have this on a new line? We do not. Now it is. Alright. Adventures. That can be its own little section. Alright. And we can add to this list if we want to. But we definitely have like lots to make here if we wanted to flesh this out into like a proper module. At the very least, we can like have a little description of what those are like. We probably do like fully write out and prep the goblinoid adventure in the castle, and then of course the town and such, like right before we publish it. But then we can just say like, oh, and then here's some other things that are probably gonna happen. And there's also the dragon, and there's also what was the other thing? Oh shoot, I forgot it. Oh, there we go. Miscellaneous town happenings / quests. Very good. You can spell miscellaneous. Did I spell it right? Nope. There we go. Awakens. There we go. Lair. Half-dragons. Cultists. And the dragon. Alright. We'll say other ideas, miscellaneous towns happenings, the mines. Oh, hold on. No, stop doing that. Okay, there we go. There are various mines. Okay, miscellaneous town happenings. Okay, cool. And then we can add to that later on. We can also say environmental exploration, scouting, and environmental exploration. The desert, the sea of stumps, the Hilllands. Surviving. There we go. Human savages and cultists of old. No, we've not been doing periods for this section. What else? Look at my funny map. Look at my funny map. We'll say politics. Politics. Come on. What's going on in the north? Whoop. Very good. Local politics. There we go. Regional politics. Are there still hobgoblins in the south? Very good. That should do the trick. Alright, I need to go back up here and finish typing up these sections. We've set up that dwarven dungeon. What else did I want to explore? So we explored the humans, we explored the wizards, we can explore the dwarves. But we can do that later. We know they mine and were allied with the humans. Explore more later, if relevant. We might just let that just be an open thing for the DM to do on their own. Just be like, hey, DM, if you want to go and design a dwarven city for your players to go and explore, right? That's something I can certainly do. Odds are, one of the dwarven cities or settlements or whatnot has been repurposed into the Dragon's Lair. We'll say it's likely that one of the dwarven cities has been repurposed into the Dragon's Lair and housing for his followers. Very good. A hive best left undisturbed. No, that's fine. We can stop there. Okay, so after the dwarves, the next thing we wanted to write. Good. We have the humans. We have the that's right, the hobgoblins. The hobgoblins. An empire of lands unknown. They conquered the humans of the south, sending a portion of their forces to this mountainous, there we go, mountainous region to ransack and finish, we'll say, extracting, would be a better word. Extracting what natural resources that were left. I feel like I could rephrase that better, but They conquered the humans of the south, sending a portion of their forces to this mountainous region to ransack and finish extracting what natural resources that were left. What natural resources? Extract remaining. Harvest. Finish harvesting. Harvesting the remaining natural resources. Good. Done. Simple. No need to overcomplicate things. Oh, except I do need resources. Oh, there we go. Okay. Remaining natural resources. Ransack and finish harvesting the remaining natural resources. Very good. They made short work of the inhabitants. Gaining a great source of slave labor to finish logging. There we go. And drag. There we go. Resources southwards. There we go. That works. Make sure everything about that's gaining a great source of slave labor to finish logging. And then let's carry the resources southwards. So it's not a happy time. These are not good hobgoblins. Alright. Near the tail end, their operation was interrupted by the red dragon. Dragon name. How did I phrase it before? What? Is it all the way up here? Dragon name and title. I'm making this consistent so that I can do a Control F later on, or like do the insert thing, and I can just go and swap things out easily that way. So I know that kind of seems a bit clunky and unnecessary, but I'm doing it for a reason. it'll save me time in the long run. The tail end, their operation was interrupted by the red dragon, whatever name, right? What resources remained? We'll see what few resources. What few resources remained were not worth the tyrant's ire. They fled south and have not ventured north since. There we go. Not fled. We'll say they retreated south. Retreated south. Okay. Some of their goblin servants and human slaves, we'll say fled to start, there we go, start tribes of their own. In this region, they remain but these lands we said, but I No, we're trying to avoid saying I. But one would not call them civilization. Would not equate them to civilization, to a civilization. How about that? Would not equate them to fledgling, to a fledgling civilization. There we go. Yeah, this isn't quite enough to make it its own little category, so we'll do that unless we wanted to elaborate on the goblins. Some of their goblin servants and human slaves fled to start tribes. We'll say, and started. Yeah. They remain, but one would not equate them to a fledgling civilization. Would not equate them. Would not equate them to fledgling. But they would not be considered fledgling civilizations. Nah, we can keep it as is. It doesn't need to be perfect. It's just a rough draft, just for me. Doesn't matter. We'll work out the kinks later on if it ends up mattering. Alright. So I think that does it. Looking at my map, so we know that there wasn't anyone north. We knew about the former human civilization, which we've kind of gone into here. We know about the hobgoblins, which we went into there. The dwarves haven't been fully fleshed out, but I don't think we really need to. And then we know about the two wizards. Do we want to add another layer of complication and put druids in the forest who were, well, let's be blunt here, slaughtered. If not by the humans, then definitely by the hobgoblins. Because they would not have been cool with the development of the Sea of Stumps. I think they would have definitely been opposing the humans at the very least initially, and the hobgoblins came and finished the job, so to speak. So they probably don't live anymore, but they probably laid some kind of grand curse on this land. Yeah, sure. Well, let's... we're muddying the concepts here a little bit, but let's add the druids. The druids. We can do the same thing we did for the dwarves and not necessarily detail it out. They would have been upset at how rapidly the humans we'll say how aggressively the humans it would have been wary. How about that? Would have been wary of the human kingdom's lust for deforestation. Let's be blunt. But could have been uneasy allies. But the hobgoblins, they definitely slaughtered. There we go. Slaughtered the druids. There we go. We'll say pacts to replant and nurture the forest and not take too much would have been brokered. The hobgoblins, they definitely slaughtered the druids. Okay. And then say Perhaps the last of them. Unleashed, there we go, some manner of curse, or created a guardian entity of awesome violence. They might think it's the wrong use of violence. Sorry, the wrong use of awe. So violence and awe. Great violence and awe. There we go. Yeah, that works. Just a quick little thing like the dwarves got. All right. And then we have our adventure ideas. Scrolling back up, was there anything we forgot in the summation area? Okay, cool. Nope. And then we have our questions, which now we have a lot of these answered. Quite a lot. All right, so not necessarily for the tavern, unfortunately, but for the town, we now have the answer to project status, road to building the wall. Okay, so we already have that. Any other adventures in towns? Okay, so never mind. We don't have answers for the town yet. We probably have a lot of answers for the castle, though. The wilderness. The castle. Who was the leader? The leader, we can say... How do I denote this? Let's do a little funny arrow thing. Human. Marquee, and then... name. Then we know that he's a high-level fighter. This is what we rolled up before. If I can find it. There we go, level 10 fighter. Oh, where are we? There we go. A warrior. Around level 10. There we go. Tarnagas, the sage, the barbarian. Who are they? Ambition/goals. Okay, got it. The court wizard had a fascination, twisting life, creating chimeras. Maybe the Minotaur itself is a chimera. Maybe this is a naturally occurring Minotaur, and that he is the origin of this Minotaur. Oh, I don't think I'm going to do that. This is supposed to be setting neutral, and there's a lot of settings where that wouldn't really work. He later became the doom of the dwarven settlement that sheltered him. Very good. And we don't really know about the rest yet. Anyways, the entities of the wizard, why were they created? Have they all escaped? Let's leave that unanswered for now. We know that they were likely created out of fascination, or because he could do it, or because it was a dream, or perhaps he had some kind of goal that involved it. Perhaps he wanted to evolve himself, and if we do end up making him into a chimera in that later dungeon, then perhaps that would explain some of that motivation, right? So we'll leave that for now. Structures, defenses. What defenses are still intact? How many floors? Okay, so that's more stuff. Frozen in time. I forget if Nagas do turn people to stone or if that's just a Medusa thing. I should go look at that. Don't need the wolf wear right now. There we go. Naga. Very good. Snake people. Okay, so they were sorcerers. Got it. Monstrosity. Ooh, they have a snake god. Common, subrace, he takes serpentine, humanoid head, monster man, okay. Has the poor humanoid abilities. Okay, spellcasting. Alright. No Nagas and their deities perceived. Okay. Got it. Got it. Much like most snakes. Okay. History. Well, this is Forgotten Realms stuff, so I don't necessarily need to take from that. The fall... 5 guys... okay. So there's a lot of different subspecies. And then, of course, like, dead ones are bone nagas. Yeah, the undead ones, yep. I'm gonna create as guardians. Okay. They probably don't have those, although that could be fun. Maybe they occurred more naturally. I'm gonna go pull up the page for bone nagas. If there's a way that bone nagas can effectively happen naturally, like a vengeful spirit, more of a revenant, haunting type of a thing, rather than deliberately made as guardians, right? Concept of mates had far less importance. Okay, fair enough. The world symbol is Dendar, right? Oh, it's not popping up Dendar's name, but if I clicked on that, it would say Dendar, the Night Serpent. Or are those really two separate beings? I guess they are separate. Fair enough. Not all snakes are the same. Here we go. All right. Ring of the Novice Kiss, Gallery. All right, so there's not a whole lot here. Well, I'll go over to... Actually, let's also grab Spirit Nagas. If those are ghosts, then that's something I care about. But let's go to Bone Naga first. Normally from... and by Dark Nagas. Okay. Dark Nagas would create them as guardians. Alright, so their CR, at least in 5e, is 4 when compared to the normal Naga's CR of... ooh, 10. Or 8. Wow, okay. Whatever. Okay, personality. Load the creators, but load their servitude. Alright. So if they were creative servants, they weren't happy about it. Are undead with the normal abilities thereof. Okay, very cool. Retain their intelligence. Okay, so they would still be smart. Assuming that we are taking inspiration from them in a classical sense. Fangs, stingers, okay. Naturally able to detect thoughts. Ooh, that's cool. They're immune to psionics. Good for them. Or at least the mind-based psionics. You know what I mean. Combat. To my ability to read minds. Enemy going to battle. Okay. Got it. Sneaky mind reading stuff. Very cool. Anything about their creation? Not that I'm seeing. They did say that Dark Nagas make them, so let's go look at that, I guess. Go Control F, and then Bone. That's it. Well, no, it's one of 4 matches. Okay, oh, then there's Bone Naga there, and then there's Bone Naga there. Okay, yeah, no, that's not telling me anything. Alright, well, they're not saying how they're made, but they're traditionally made. Alright, what about Spirit Nagas? Most powerful type of Naga. Into witches. Oh, okay, got it. So they're Nagas, but they're like witches. Okay, that's what Spirit's denoting here, is that they're the big fancy casters. Yeah, but this isn't like undead ghost stuff, so this isn't really what I'm looking for. Okie dokie. And there's nothing saying I have to go and take the Nagas from the rollable table. I could swap them out. I do have lots of snake-like chimera, though. Perhaps one of them partnered with the wizard, and they created some interesting snake-based thingamajiggers. Alright, well, I'll look into it later. Or Minotaur, typically, here. I know that they have, like, a demon lord god that kind of twists their brain and keeps them evil aligned. Okay, so they layered in the Underdark for the most part. So they probably would have come out of the mountains. One of which allied himself with this human fighter, this Marquis. Okay, I know what they look like. Abilities. Okay, fair. Just normal stuff. Pardon me. Oh, I'm getting very tired, but I don't have any energy drinks left. So I'm just gonna have to power through it. Or take a nap. Or go do something that doesn't require my brain. But for right now, I think my brain's working just fine. I'm just a bit tired. Less ravenously hungry, a trait that only fueled their aggression. Okay. Polygamy, okay. Harems, alright. Some were slavers. They didn't like torture. Alright, so they did have like some honorable characteristics to them. But they were very hungry. They're very hungry and aggressive. But otherwise they were kind of a warrior race. So it's not unthinkable for one to be in service to a human lord, right? Let's see, we're not highly intelligent, but possessed instinctive cunning. Oh, they were cunning. All right, good. That means they do know enough to know, like, hey, if I stick by this powerful figure here, I'm gonna be eaten well, right? So I think this Minotaur is probably like some sort of knight or agent or champion of this man. Perhaps there was an arena, right? Some of the trials could have been trial by combat, where you fight the Minotaur. Sound of rending flesh breaking bones. Okay. Oh, okay, got it. Man-eating carnivores. Well, like it's probably without food for several years. Okay, yeah, yep. No, definitely. That's a good way to keep the people in line, right? If you fuck up, you get fed to the Minotaur. Like humans, Minotaurs procreated throughout the years. So I think we use the Minotaur as an enforcer / a weapon against this guy's would-be enemies. The Minotaur is like an agent to be sicked upon people, right? Humans, Minotaurs procreated. 30-year-old Minotaur was often thought to be a steeled veteran. Okay. 200 years. All right. Okay. So they can mate with human women. Got it. Ah, but not female Minotaurs. Okay. Typical Minotaur leader, also known as the Elder, is the biggest and strongest bull in the tribe, which did not necessarily mean the most intelligent leader. The tribe's king led his fellow bulls into raids. Solitary Minotaurs were a common occurrence. However, a clan could have 8 members. Minotaur youth were taught to fight and master weapons at an early age. In the Minotaur society, combat education was done by parents and fellow tribe members. Okay, got it. It's just about society, which we don't really go into here. Because I get the feeling this is like a lone Minotaur that didn't... It's like, I'm done with society. I just want to gore people and eat and have a stable life. And it looks as though this human will indulge me, is my read on this situation so far anyway. Okay, smaller things were considered beneath them. Well, there's nothing saying this Minotaur can't be an exception to the rule. The gnolls and Minotaurs hating each other and attacking on sight. That's because they both serve demon lords. There we go. Yeah, here it is. Baphomet. Pools of rivers, okay. Magic. Oh, the art. Very good. Yeah, fair. If a wizard tries to trick a Minotaur and fails, that Minotaur is probably gonna kill you first. Okay. Where they had divine cleric casting, it was largely for martial stuff, which makes sense. Magic items held little value for most Minotaurs and were traded away for other valuables or alcohol most of the time. Okay. Fair enough. If you're already all that strong, you don't really necessarily need magic items. So ogre is a part of, is related to giant talk. So if we're simplifying it, it has the same roots as giant. Homelands. We don't care too much about this. Actually, no, we do, because this could tell us where he's from. So outside of... Naturally, they'd be in forests. Okay. Did it say the Underdark, though? Ah, here we go. Are also often kept as slaves by Underdark inhabitants. Oh, okay. Yeah, he could be an escaped slave. He came to the surface. He sees that this human is a source of shelter and kindness and who feeds him fairly regularly enough. I think that that's more than a good enough excuse. It's an ex-slave from the Underdark. And being an ex-slave, like, he'd very much be more society-minded. He wouldn't want to inflict that kind of oppression on people himself. So that could be a good excuse for this Minotaur being a little bit more likely to align with the side of civilization and law, right? So I think we've got an okay read on this Minotaur. Okay. The Minotaur was a former slave. He escaped from the Underdark and served I'm glad you enjoyed the thumbnail. Escape from the Underdark. Served the Marquis. I just, yeah, we'll be sloppy. We'll just say because he was promised shelter, outlets for his violent urges, comforts, and food. Parentheses. Would be prisoners. Lawbreakers. We can just say lawbreakers. Lawbreakers. Yeah, that works. He escaped from the Underdark. And decided, how about that? Decided to serve the Marquis. He was promised shelter, outlets for his violent urges, comforts, and food. Alright. Some of these criminals he fought in the arena. They would be let free if they defeated him, but none did. I will say none rose to the challenge. Very good. All right. And that gives us a good enough read on him. We don't need anything super complicated on this long dead Minotaur. Let's see here. I'm not totally sold on using the Naga's barbarian. It could be nice to give him a more savage character. Someone a bit different from the Minotaur. The Minotaur might be a little bit too much to handle. The Minotaur is a weapon, right? But the weapon needs to be guided. It's a heat-seeking missile, right? Or sorry, it's a missile and it needs the chip that makes it heat-seeking. So I think maybe the Minotaur got paired with the Barbarian on missions, and the Barbarian was kind of the Marquis' right-hand man. The Minotaur was more of a pet / amusement / weapon, right? He was also used as a weapon by the Marquis as needed, often paired with his right-hand man. Sure, we'll do a space there, I don't care enough. The Barbarian, I have decided, is a Barbarian in class only. He was a respected warrior. And yeah, we'll say military advisor to the Marquis. When a collar and leash were needed. Oh, there we go. He was paired. Oh, paired. There we go. With the Minotaur for, we'll say, brutally successful missions. Would that be the word for it? No. For excursions of violence, for their more violent excursions. That paints a good word. Bloody but successful, yeah. That's what the pair were. A bit messy, but they got stuff done. The entities of the wizard, why were they created? We'll come back to that. All right, cool. Things frozen in time. We don't really have an excuse for things to be frozen in time. We could still have some chimeras lingering there. Traps and defenses of the castle itself. Maybe some hobgoblins. Well, that's not true. Things could be frozen in time. Because it was resettled by the hobgoblins. Okay, how about this? If the hobgoblins resettled the castle, or at least portions of the castle, there's nothing saying one of their wizards or an arcanist didn't place themselves or something else in stasis or conjure forth defenses. Perhaps undead servants. Yeah, sure. Roam the halls. Or a handful of demons, devils, or elementals. There we go. That gives me an excuse to put some more exotic stuff in there. It doesn't just have to be the castle's natural defenses and stuff from the time of the Marquis. It can also perhaps have some fun little goblin wizard stuff. I think should do it for the wilderness. We do kind of know a bit more about this now. What has taken the workers and their supplies? A local tribe of goblins. They are intent on using the humans as entertainment and slaves. We'll put entertainment in quotation marks because it's not the pretty kind of entertainment. Here we go. We don't need 2 lines. It's just the goblins. We don't need to overcomplicate things. We can say, are there stuff in the area? There are various... We'll say a few. How about that? There are a few goblin tribes. A few... we'll say barbarian tribes. Barbarian tribes made up of humans and half humans. There we go. Escaped slaves. There we go. Secret cults. I think there probably would be. At the very least, there's a cult that worships the dragon. Right? Secret cults. Sure. There's the cult that worships and protects the red dragon. Protects red dragon. There may be other... Oh, there we go. Cults who worship one or more of the chimera as gods. Say as a god or gods in parentheses. Very good. That works. Any larger threats? Yeah, no, there's a lot more than just that. Okay, so larger threats. The dragon. Next slide. The sleeping wizard. Possibly a force for good, but who knows? Very good. The hobgoblins to the south. Say the Hobgoblin Empire to the south. We can capitalize that. You know, I haven't always been doing that, but whatever. It's important. The other wizards, chimeras, possibly he himself in a transformed, ageless form. Very good. Well, instead of saying other, we'll say the mad wizards, chimeras. What do you mean by possibly? No, possibly he himself flows so much better than possibly himself in a transform. No, it just doesn't work as well. Fuck off. Alright, very good. Alright, what destroyed this settlement and its castle in the past? Are they still around? If so, why did they not resettle the castle? Hold on, there we go. The hobgoblins destroyed it. We'll say attacked it. They didn't destroy it. Attacked it, resettled, and repurposed it. But then they were driven off by the red dragon, who then sacked it. Alright. The hobgoblins, there we go, have yet to return. Nor has any form of civilization. Alright. The castle. And we already did the castle for the most part. Alright, cool. The town. Any adventures in town? Yeah, actually. I can think of a few things. There may be some things at the arena. Very good. The hobgoblins. Sorry, the hobgoblin slave pits existed. Perhaps some slaves hid valuables before their capture. Lots of dead people. Could be haunted. It could be haunted to make Google happy. Okay, I did it, Google. You happy now? What else do we know about this town? Oh, duh. Wandering chimeras. I think that's it. See, I missed some messages here. Oh. Very good. Tavern. Okay, this is the thing we still haven't done yet. This kind of requires us to actually start writing the modern day. I've been enjoying fleshing out the past and the geopolitics. I don't want to write the modern day. Blah. I think I'm reaching my limit of marathon work on this particular project. I mean, hold on. This is page 6 basically. So 6 through 9. That's like 3 pages worth of stuff. I drew that. I've worked enough that I can be flaky and go and work on a different project now. We'll give it the once over one more time. Maybe something strikes me, but otherwise, this is a great foundation. I'm quite pleased with how this is looking right now. I think I need to start nailing in some more specifics now. I'm gonna start somewhere. I probably should start there. Although I don't really want to. I feel like I should probably start with the town and the castle, because then that will affect a lot of the flavor and a lot of the things that the players may initially pick up on, having started in the town. Of course, there's a non-zero possibility that they immediately take the plot hook to go and rescue the suppliers and workers from the goblins, right? That's to be expected, and then they are out of town. But otherwise, I feel like I'd be better served to write up what the town looks like modern day, which is then informed by the past as well.
Huh.
You know, there's a creek that goes by it, but the creek wasn't used for transport. You know, there would need to be a trail coming out of the north of the town. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. Put this paper aside. Oh, we don't need to put it that far aside. Let's put it right here. How about that? And let's grab this. All right. Let's work on the town. Physically. So, what I think I want to do, this can also go aside. So we can grab, oh, we don't sticky note is, but it doesn't need to exist right now. We can grab this. Very good. I can sit there. That sounds good to me. So, a few things to keep in mind. Let me just write down everything the town reasonably has. So, from, what's it up top here? The humans. They likely didn't participate in the logging, but they probably did mining. Mining work in the region. They would also probably have a route that connects to that other trade route. Very good. Which means there's probably like at least an inn or some kind of settlement that was there back in the day. All right, so there's another little thing. Mining work in the region. Trade route. to the north and east. Alright. No, there was an arena for feeding the bull. That quotation marks. Alright. What else did we have? I mean, obviously we have the castle itself. Oh, well, we kind of need to design the castle's general shape, though, don't we? Wow! Yeah. Yeah, I think the first major thing we do is I go grab my graph paper and we do the castle. We can design as much as we can without designing the castle, though, so let's at least start there. Well, I've already got my paper here, and I've started going to town. The arena for feeding the bull. Ooh, that's not what I want. No, I do want to go up. That's what I want. Mining work in the region. So mining work to the north. To the north. That's something I need to go and correct. In the north. There we go. And this also explains why their thing might not be made out of wood. I mean, they probably would still use wood every now and then, but I think most of it got redirected to the capital down south. And so it makes sense that a lot of it would be made out of the bricks that they'd be able to make from the nonsense in this area, right? It says largely scrublands. Oh. Brick and rock constructs. There we go. The Marquis might have had like a statue of himself. That sounds like something that he'd do. Or maybe a statue of the king, right? I will say statue of the king or Marquis, which was then promptly defaced by the hobgoblins. So it's probably now a crumbled statue. But still, it's worth noting here. Brick and rock constructs. Say various wall defenses. I'm not gonna list them all, but they go and look at them, and then maybe we keep some of them, maybe we don't. Right? Various wall defenses. Oh, barracks, right? This was an untamed wilderness to a degree. Well, no, the barracks would probably be in the castle. Most barracks for like the elites would be in the castle, but down below here, I think there'd still be barracks for the local militia. Yeah, guard barracks. How about that? Lesser guard barracks. Barracks. Very good. All right. Yeah, I know that you guys can't read most of that. I'm doing it tiny on purpose so that I can hopefully just reference it and then come down here and draw stuff and then reference it and so on and so forth. It's unfortunate. Some of my work process I can like make visible and convenient for stream, but not all of it, right? It is what it is. Let's see here. This was more of like a military outpost. And also, housing for nobility. Yeah, because if they're not living at one of the logging towns, they're probably living here where the marquee is for protection, which means it probably costs money. So they are probably mostly nobles and rich merchants. We'll say mostly nobles / merchants. I don't have enough room to write that, what I want to write here anyway. So I'm going to go put down a new line. Population. Largely made up of nobles and merchants, too rich to live in the logging settlements or near the quarries. Let's just say you can just shove it all in the same area. Your quarries. All right. I'll still understand that. All right, so that does paint a good picture. We can say as such, locations of luxury. Would bathhouses be considered a place of luxury? A heated bathhouse, definitely so. It'd also need to be like a town square type place for them to debate philosophy, right? Various places where they could find food, pleasure. A whorehouse. Sure. I think that's something that I can go and detail out, right? Okay. Let's go down here to the town. Wop. And then we'll go structures of the past. Heated bathhouse. Whorehouse. Gathering square for yeah, no, I got it right. Philosophy and debate. All right, and then I think I'm caught up. Various businesses selling goods. We'll say luxury goods. Spices. Ink. We'll just say etc. for now. I'll come back to that. Speaking of books, pardon me, I have some kind of hiccup, I guess. A library. Sorry, a public library. Because presumably the Marquis has a private library. Library. Various, we'll say, craftsmen, and architects needed to design this. Say create. There we go. Create this town. Shape this town. How about that? The businesses. There we go. The businesses. And then we can say parentheses, brick makers / layers, stone shapers, masons, go with etc. and add to the list later if we need to. All right. You do need fancy footwear if you're a noble, right? So you need a cobbler, town cobbler. Various town jewelers, crafts. We'll say smiths, various town smiths and jewelers. Except I don't know how to spell jewelers. Oh, extra E. Got it. Thank you. Both for function and finery. Of course, that would have been long looted. This was likely a very rich town. The hobgoblins and the dragon probably had a lot of fun. Lots of fun. Oh. Okay. What else have we got? What else have we got? I guess we could just pull up other town maps and just start taking inspiration from them, right? Let's go back to that rollable table thing that we did before. Maybe there's some fun things there we can steal from. But we do need to remember religious stuff, religious shrines that probably got either torn down or repurposed by the hobgoblins and then possibly ransacked by the dragons if some of those statues were made out of gold or something, right? So, but nonetheless, there would have been a religious structure of some sort. Let's see. Keep going up. Okay. Oh yeah, catapult engineer. Okay. Fortress itself, which we've decided is the castle. Village coroner. Sure. Pantheon noble's dwelling. Okay. Got it. So we need Temple of the Dead. Graveyard or similar. We'll say catacombs. Temple of the Dead. Cemetery. Etc. Religious site. Shrines to their gods. We'll say their pantheon. Pantheon. And what was the other one? There was the coroner, there was the religious angle, there was one other thing I'm forgetting. Let's go back up. No, I got it all. Okay. We're good. I mean, obviously there was a town hall. Well, would there be a town hall? I think a lot of that would actually just be done by the Marquis and then just sent out to the people down below in the lowlands. So we'll say station of the town crier. Very good. Or how civilized were they? Did they have a printing press? We know that they had writing. They were at least civilized for that. They'd have ink, right? Perhaps they had an opera house. Perhaps traveling performers would come up north from their capital and occasionally perform for these nobles. Not as often as they'd like, but every now and then. Sure. Opera house. Those can be two separate words, I think. Or what would the word for it be? Like those open air kind of stages, not stages. Places of performance. I know what they are. I know the word for it. I just can't remember it right now. Okay, well, places of performance. No, you'll get to know my location. This is just books. Names for execution ground. No, this isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what I'm looking for. All right. Open air theaters. What are they called? What are they called? I just want to know the word. Okay, fine. We'll go to Botanica, or cinema, or theater. It's gonna drive me fucking crazy. No, not a foyer. Never mind. I just don't get to find it then. It's not a park. Is it an amphitheater? I guess it could be an amphitheater. I could have sworn there's another word for it though. Whatever. Whatever. It doesn't matter enough. I'm wasting too much time. House or theater or open air theater, etc. Okay. That's a good start. We need a trade district. Trade district with merchant stalls. Very good. Sure. Traveling merchant stalls, whatever. Stables and other housing for carriages and horses. A handful of inns and taverns Not an excessive amount. This is mostly just a place for the rich people, probably the people that were running the operations, right? The mine owners, to not have to live amongst their miners. Instead, they have like a manager out there living amongst the miners who report into them every now and then. And they say, yeah, those numbers sound good. That sort of thing. So I think most of them probably had local houses. So I guess we can probably see it. Lots of local home owners. We'll say structures of the past. All right. Hobgoblin era. Addition / conversion of slave pits. Very good. Arena repurposed for executions or gladiatorial entertainment. Gladiatorial, not. Oh, I just didn't spell it right. Okay, very good. The shrine defaced and possibly repurposed. Gold and finery stripped and collected. Gather sharp lost me. Then all would probably been fine. Would they have burned books? I think hobgoblins would value books. I guess it depends on the setting. Well, if not the hobgoblins, at least Dragonfire. Dragonfire burned down the library. That sounds good to me. Yeah. If they didn't burn down the library, then the dragon did it. Alright. Got here. There's no reason to destroy the bathhouse. That's something hobgoblins can enjoy too, right? A lot of that stuff just boils down to looting and stripping, repurposing. Most of it repurposed to house their military. Because this is a conquering force. For the most part, I mean, there would still be some laborers there, and there certainly were laborers in the forms of goblins, not the hobgoblins themselves, but they're goblins that they brought with them. And I'm assuming there would be like some overseers and managers and whatnot. But for the most part, if they're a conquering force heading north, they probably are military, right? So just the town guards barracks would not have been enough to house them. They would need to convert more. Especially considering that we know that they didn't completely take the castle. That the castle's defenses were not good enough to keep the inhabitants alive, per se, but at the very least some of it was still intact enough for it to trigger against the player characters, right? How was their military? I say they never fully took the castle. and the guard barracks would not have sufficed. Very good. All right. Just to make a quick note of myself. Say town development. I think I already used the title of the town. Town development. Okay. I'm gonna say missing bricks, not rocks, bricks, parentheses, or trophies / trinkets to bring home. Missing bricks and statues. I think it'd be fun if one of them was actually a necromancer and they took the catacombs or graveyard or whatnot and repurposed them as skeletons or zombies, right? Hold on. That were set to guard the castle, right? Or at least clear out the castle. Patrol the castle, that kind of thing. They were pretty sure they'd cleared it all out, but they weren't for sure. They're just like, we don't need the castle right now. Or we're busy down here with stabilizing the area and doing work and whatnot. Yeah. The graveyard was raided for its dead who were repurposed as undead. Undead servants. I don't know. Well, not all hobgoblins are on board with the undead, but these ones can be. Maybe that's why they're the ones that they sent north into the Wilderlands, where they don't care as much, because they're just like, that's those undead guys. We don't want to. Yeah, we'll put the necromancer to good use upstairs, right? What's going on here? Oh, okay. Nothing of serious note. I'm gonna mute this server. Very good. So it will not distract me anymore. Dragon ransacked. Any gold easily findable is gone. Any gold statues or works of art which remained are gone. Any remaining, there we go, jewelry or finery is gone. Let's see, candelabras, silverware, jewelry, worn jewelry. Should make doubly sure. Okay, well, they want it spelled that way. Fine, spell it that way. Golden idols to gods. Portraits of nobles and other works of art. I'll say other painted works of art, painted works of art, etc. All right, including, there we go, including gold plating on signs or housing or houses. There you go. I think that's it, right? The dragon wouldn't necessarily care about defacing things. The dragon, like, clearly didn't go over this with, like, a comb. I'm sure that he went over it a little bit and had some of his little worshippers go over it with a comb, like, once, but there's stuff that they certainly could have missed, right? That adventurers wouldn't, so maybe as the players explore, they may still find, like, a pouch of ancient gold behind a loose brick, that kind of thing. So it was ransacked, but not thoroughly. Just in that there. The dragon and his servants would have given everything a thorough once over. We can say, but some wealth may remain hidden behind loose bricks or the like. And that would include hidden passages. I would imagine that some of these nobles had hidden passages that led to the whorehouse, right? Because they didn't want to be seen going and entering it in public. So some of those hidden basements could also have had, like, treasure vaults, right? Some of the nobles likely had hidden routes to the whorehouse and anything of value, say, including possibly their vault. There we go. May still be, say, hidden behind that secret door or illusory wall. No, illusory wall would be too risky because they probably would have house parties. We can say secret door. So that'll imply that there's still probably some things intact, but for the most part, between the hobgoblins and the dragon's followers, most of the big stuff got found. Very good. We can change this into periods for now. I'm going to leave that one open-ended, though, because I'm assuming I'll have more ideas when it comes to that kind of stuff. My question is, do I want to actually map out the entire town or just vague box it? I think some of the key structures I'd like to map out. Others of it can probably be vague boxed. We'll see. We'll see. I might watch a video on, like, town design, and then maybe I do some of that. So I think I probably don't do this right now. Oh, I forgot to change camera. You guys need to see me typing that. Oh no. Well, we can at least do this right now. There we go. Hey. So I typed out this section. That's all you really missed. And the stuff for the Dragon Ransacked, right? Yeah, I think I don't necessarily have the visual for the town yet. I think I probably watch a few videos there. Because for some of my other towns, I had a pretty good idea of how I wanted to have them mapped out. But this is some next level stuff here. I can't quite use the exact same techniques I used on those towns to map out. Because usually it's just a matter of like, bam, there's the major trade route, right? And so they probably, or like it's a conjunction of like 3 or more routes meeting, right? So it's like, okay, so it probably started that someone like made an inn here, or like started selling things at this conjunction, right? And then the town can build out from there. But that's not what happened here. This was like, right here is close enough to all the things we care about, but also far enough away from the rabble, right? So we're gonna put a giant hill here. We're gonna put a castle on it, and then we're gonna have this lovely little system of architecture and high society, right? So it's gonna be a lot more planned out. And I need to make sure that I can properly reflect that. Very good. All right. So where did I go from here then? So I'm not going to do that. I think what I need to do is design the shape of the castle. Sure. I can do that. So we'll come down here and say castle structural ideas. And we'll say it's castle structure ideas. How about that? Wop. Wop. And more. Yeah, my brain is mush. I want to eat, but it hasn't been long enough since I last ate, has it? I should hold back. I have been streaming for 3.5 hours, and I ate maybe 30 minutes to an hour and a half before that. It's been like more than 4 hours. I could eat. Also very early in the day to make this my last meal. I'd be tempted to eat again. Well, I could make soup. And then that would... Okay, that's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to end the writing stream now. I'm going to make soup, and then maybe I resume the writing stream, or I just play Pokemon later today. But right now, I think I got plenty done between this and the drawn and written content over there. I think I went in here knowing next to nothing about this, and I'm walking away with so many details. I think this was fruitful enough, even though it's shorter than some other streams. We can end it here, and I think I'll probably resume within the next couple hours. Because by the time I'm done making soup, I should ideally have caught some kind of second wind. We'll see. I should probably also make myself a bowl of ramen and eat that, and then a smaller bowl of soup right before bed. That sounds good to me. Just to take the edge off, right? Get myself drowsy. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. We'll end stream. I know this is a bad idea because it'll stop momentum, so marathon streams are probably better, but it is what it is. Sometimes the stomach wants what the stomach wants, and I'm a bit creatively drained. That's not true. I could work on the castle. But the stomach wants what the stomach wants, so we'll stop streaming. And